In 2019, the NBA saw perhaps the craziest offseason ever. Jimmy Butler went to the Heat, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to the Nets, Anthony Davis to the Lakers, but there was a new super duo that no one expected. Kawhi Leonard, coming off of winning a championship, and Paul George, third in MVP voting, went to the Clippers. Kawhi was in commercials claiming he was the new king of LA. This was a championship team, and everyone felt it.
I'm going to say the Clippers. That team defensively is going to be great.
Historic, right? Clippers are my choice to make it to the NBA Finals out of the West.
I have a hard time picking against the Clippers.
The Clippers?
They had to be. They just traded their entire future. Paul George stated that he wanted to retire a Clipper.
Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Paul George is definitely leaving the Clippers.
Paul George is signing a 4-year, $212 million deal with the Sixers.
Never mind. A shot on the side of the backboard.
I mean, that's a bad shot.
One of the biggest collapses from a team in recent history. Injuries, a lot of injuries, former MVPs, and Paul George has left. It all went so wrong. The Clippers didn't even make the finals in 4 years. But why? Why did these Clippers fail? The Clippers are the most disappointing team in NBA history. That's because the entire world failed to account for one big thing. Something we should have seen from the beginning, and that's what we need to talk about, to serve as a warning to never fall for the trap again. What is up, dudes, that's Ballers Players? It's your boy MJ. There are 3 pieces to the downfall of the Clippers, but before we get to some of the biggest issues, we would be remiss to not mention one of the only runs the Clippers had with both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard healthy. 2020. The Clippers would finish second in the Western Conference. They had a 72% win rate. When Kawhi and PG played together, they were dominant. Kawhi averaged 27.1 points, PG with 21.5, Lou Williams with 18.2, Harrell with 18.6, who would be 6th man of the year. Yeah, they would make the second round of playoffs despite Paul George struggling. And I mean, struggling shooting 25% from the field some games, pandemic P. But here's where piece 1 comes in. They were up almost 20 in Game 5 near the end of the third quarter in a closeout game, up 3-1. But the Clippers are known to collapse. Look at 2015 when they blew a 19-point lead. The common denominator? Doc Rivers, who blew more 3-1 series leads than any coach in NBA history and is 6-8 in the NBA Finals. Even Phil Jackson knew.
This team has lost more games in the fourth quarter than anybody in the NBA. They know how to lose in the fourth quarter, all right? They're just showing us that right now.
They know how to lose? Think about that. We saw it throughout that whole series. Also, Sage savagery. Kawhi and Paul George had 0 points in the fourth quarter of a Game 7? Yeah. And Max Kellerman, I still want my public apology.
Kawhi's not playing with Steph and Clay. So under pressure, yes, Kawhi is better than Kobe was.
And Clay to the Maverick. Where did that come from? There's way too much news going on, but I'm not rushing these videos. We're giving you the truth and working hard to get you all the right info and have fun along the way. So please subscribe. Doc Rivers was not meant to lead the Clippers. His leadership didn't keep the team calm, nor did he develop offensive schemes that held up under pressure, as you're about to see. But perhaps the key reason for the Clippers' downfall was obvious. Kawhi was the king of load management. He had just won a championship with a completely new team Raptors in 2019 while load managing. Paul George also would miss several games, and they only played 43 of 72 games in their first season. And so going into the playoffs, they realized, oh, despite our insanely talented roster, we don't have chemistry. Kawhi led the Clippers with 4.9 assists, that ain't cutting it. Oh, we didn't figure out our weakness of not having a floor general or play start until the playoffs? Shit. Lou Williams said, a lot of issues we ran into, talent bailed us out. Chemistry didn't. It failed us. But okay, they realized after 2020 that they had to play together more to develop their chemistry, and they looked for a point guard. They knew they need playmaking so badly that the Clippers said, screw it, I'ma do it myself. So PG and Kawhi worked on playmaking with Chauncey Billups. These guys wanted to win. The Clippers had a 27-10 record when Kawhi and PG played together during the 2019-20 season, and a 32-11 record when they played next season. Pretty damn impressive. They were deadly when together. But what I'm about to say next should be alarming. Over the last 5 seasons, there aren't that many duos that stayed together. And of a possible 410 regular season games, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum played 290 games. Giannis and Middleton played 246, Jokic and Murray played 224, even LeBron and Anthony Davis played 210, just above the 50% mark. And Kawhi and Paul George, they played 181 games, only 44%. What the fuck? That's piece number 2, availability. And that number will get worse in the playoffs, but we'll get to that. In fact, from 2019 to 2022, he's actually played less games than Glass Anthony Davis. Wait, what?
Randall Leonard.
Paul George has been adamant that Kawhi wants to be on the floor. But if that's the case, then the reality is Kawhi is simply injury prone. And that was a cause. Paul George's usage rate jumps up to 33.04 when he plays without Kawhi. But PG is also not the most healthy player. He's missed 83 games in the last 3 seasons, and the more you rely on PG, the more you're gonna run him into exhaustion just getting into the playoffs. Early on in the 2023 season, Paul George stepped up playing 36 minutes a game while Kawhi was hurt and then eventually suffered a hamstring strain injury. He then re-injured the same hamstring a few months later. Cause and effect. And to build your franchise around not one, but 2 guys who miss a lot of games due to injury means you don't have stability. But over several seasons, PG and Kawhi played enough number of games to have a certain chemistry with each other, despite all the moving role pieces around them. They played enough with Ty Lue, who had earned the respect of all the players, and frankly, was considered one of the best coaches in the league, no Doc Rivers. So going into the playoffs, it was their time. Sure, the rest of the NBA had changed, but Kawhi and PG meant that this team always had a chance. They ran through the Suns as long as they were... Damn. Paul George was out here carrying the Clippers to a conference finals. Man was on a mission. 37 points, 16 boards in Game 5 against Utah, 41, 13, and 6 against the Suns, played the most minutes in the playoffs. Kawhi would also miss the entire next season. But okay, he was back for the 2023 playoffs. This is what I said in 2023. This disregard for the regular season only works if you win the playoffs. But when everyone is confused on the message, the team construction, the injuries, it's a team that is banking on everything to happen within these 2 years, and now this year might be over again with the same old story. Imagine having a brand new arena to finally get out of the Lakers' shadow and have no star player, no young developing player. It would be a disaster. I just don't understand the plan. I don't understand why I can't watch Kawhi or PG play, all for them to be out in the most important games. Something has to change. And this year, Kawhi played 68 games, the most he has with the Clippers. PG, Harden, and Westbrook are healthy, and Kawhi is hurt again? But 2024 was different because they had James Harden. They had one of the best playmakers in the NBA. This was a super team. But without Kawhi, PG or Harden had to be the main scoring option, and while that can work for a game or 2, it's hard for a series, especially since we've seen Harden's recent body of work. 9 points in a game 7. Yikes. 2020 was really the only healthy playoffs for Kawhi, and that should be the telling sign. So even though Kawhi has 3 more years left with the Clippers, Paul George decided that it was time to move on. Kawhi is 33, PG is 34. These guys played together during their prime years. The championship window that Paul George talked about when he first got to the Clippers has passed. And that leads us to the final lesson of the saga. Don't ignore the obvious, but we all saw this coming a mile away, because we haven't gotten to what they lost in this. Piece number 3. And no, it wasn't just the last 5 seasons. Kawhi Leonard was a star on the Spurs. former MVP candidate that was doing it on both ends in 2017. Game-winning three, game-winning block, but that was before injuries took hold. We saw the Spurs saga, where Kawhi should have also refused to play, causing a rift between teammates, but we don't know the whole situation with the management, and the Clippers gave him the benefit of the doubt. Paul George has had his health scares. This health report is insane and long. Pause. It's a lot of small and big injuries. The shoulder surgery, knee sprain, the injury that shall not be named. And that's nothing against these players, it's just a reality of playing in the NBA. Not everyone has LeBron level durability, or figures out their injury problems like Steph, who completely transformed how he landed and moved to save his ankles. And as an organization, you have to take these factors into account. The Clippers did, but in the moment, they were also on a win-now timeline. To get Kawhi, they need to get PG or nothing would happen. The Clippers wanted to get out of LA's shadow. Plans of a new arena were flowing around, and this was the rebrand. They jumped on it, trading Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 4 first-round picks. Now, SGA was only averaging 10.8 points in his rookie season. He wasn't the player we see today, but Lou Williams said they knew he would eventually become a star, and well, SGA just finished second in MVP voting, leading the Thunder further than the Clippers. The best player on both of these teams, the more available player, and he's only 25. Jalen Williams, one of their draft picks from the Clippers, nearly averaged 20 in his second season. The Clippers gave all this up, and what'd they get? The 2019 Raptors championship came at a time that showed Kawhi's value, and even during his time with the Clippers, yes, Kawhi in the playoffs is different. Kawhi by himself is a confusing player. He may not even be top 10 in the regular season now, but turns into a top 5 player in the playoffs? Man could hide from the world for an entire season and come into playoffs and still drop 30.
Kawhi Leonard, who are you, man? Kawhi Leonard.
It's actually amazing, but that only gets you so far. That was the risk assumed, and that was the price to pay. That even when the Clippers did everything right, eventually the price was too great. And they aren't the only team that's doing that right now. Sixers, but that video's coming. Championship windows are small. Win now versus building young talent. That's what this came down to. Decisions of either letting Kawhi load manage or forcing him to sit his first year sacrificed chemistry. And chemistry, as we saw with the 2024 championship, was crucial. You don't need to always have 2 superstars. Sometimes the best ability is availability. And the Clippers fell into the trap, damn well knowing what was transpiring. The only notification shout goes to an OG day 1, Maria Joe, who is sad the Warriors are screwed. Appreciate you. Working on this Paul George 76ers video, collating to the Mavericks video, not rushing it, want to really look at it from all angles and give you all the truth. So see you Saturday night. It's your boy MJ, we out and we vibe.